Why, hello, hello. This is Chris Bernard. Welcome to the 11 a.m. Monday morning marketing webcast. I am your host, Chris Bernard. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, folks. I am going to share with you some very, very interesting stuff this morning based on a lot of client data that we've had many years past. We've gone through and we've had clients like literally lose rankings over the course of the years, not because of us, but they worked with another company. Company built this really great looking website. You know, they were ranking for things, and then all of a sudden they pushed the button live on the new website, and all of a sudden business dried up. We had one client that, I mean, they were a client after this, but they had the website built. It was old website. It was built in like, I don't know, a browser, programming code that I think still exists, but not too much. Very, very thin on the code and processing. But at the end of the day, they set the website live, and literally over the course of like 8 months, the website traffic kept going down and down. And essentially 40% of their sales like dried up. 40% of their sales dried up. So we went in, basically looked at what was ranking before, what died. And we said, basically, we can't fix this current website that you've got going on. So we're going to go ahead and do you have a copy of the previous website so that we can at least go ahead and get it live? The old website that was actually performing. And we set that live, and rankings started to recover as we were building the new website and going down some of these basic principles that we're going to talk about today. And they did end up fully recovering and then growing, so that's fantastic. But we're here to try to avoid those mistakes. Avoiding that website migration monster, 7 fundamental steps to migrate a website into a WordPress. So without further ado, by the way, just to let you know, I did not get into a bar fight this weekend. I've already had 3 people ask about it this morning. This side right here, martial arts on Friday night, I got sidekicked in the face. So yeah, I went down to the floor like, oh my God, I heard something crack. I thought I broke my nose. So that was good. We had the headgear on and everything, but at the end of the day, I was very lucky that it just appears to be kind of a internal wound that's kind of coming about. So in case any of you are concerned about my pretty face. So let's see, reasons. Why would somebody want to do this, right? Why would somebody want to migrate a website over? You might have a Squarespace account, there's a dozen other like builders out there, GoDaddy website builder. You have Intuit, I believe, has some website stuff. You may even have Google tools. Then we're actually testing their website builder and stuff like that now, just because there might be advantages. Who knows? You can sniff them out. Maybe Google has a priority based on their own stuff. We'll see. So we're testing a couple of those out, not client websites yet, just independent websites like organizations and stuff like that. So why would somebody want to do this, right? First rule, our first idea is the CMS that they currently have is heavy, right? A lot of times these older websites, these older programming, what we call content management systems or CMSs, are older. And the programming has, they kind of add just like legacy systems. You add on top of a lot of systems and things start slowing down. Okay, and you have fewer people actually programming to them, all that fun stuff. Those things, when you start loading levels on things, it slows websites down. And as some of you may have experienced recently, speed matters more than it ever has before. In fact, Google's giving you a whole suite of tools. I have another video in here talking about those suite of tools that Google gives you access to that are very helpful in terms of how their spiders look at the pages and things like that to be able to do some stuff with it in terms of optimizing those things for speed, because speed matters a lot. Okay. Second reason somebody might do this is control over functionality. So we have some very large clients that have proprietary content management systems built, which means they're locked in. All right, so this company builds this great, $50, $60, $100,000 website, and it's locked in. And if they want to do changes or get access to certain things or being able to add certain menu items even, they actually have to go back to that company to go do the development of that stuff, because as a client, they don't have access to it. That's a huge problem. I'm trying to access sitemaps for one of these larger clients, and it's like pulling teeth, like for crying out loud. Can't access it, so they have to go back to the development company in order to go get that stuff. Silly, crazy stuff. Also, Scalable. You may find that, you know, if you have one of these like Squarespace or these other companies, they're only so scalable. So if you want to add product, a lot of times they have modules kind of built in that you can go ahead and now access just by paying a little bit more on the subscription. But at the end of the day, they may not look or function the way that you would like them to. Okay. One of the advantages to WordPress is there's thousands and thousands of options for you. People that have developed that stuff. Now there's good plugins and bad plugins and all of that stuff, separate issue. But either way, you have a lot of people writing to that stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the second reason why somebody might do this. The third one is it's migratable. Again, we've had other clients that basically spend a lot of money on their website, and about 5 years later, they go, I don't like the current company we're with. Well, that's sitting on a proprietary content management system that they have built and own. And to be quite frank, a lot of times they have, you know, specialized keys to go in and lock the thing so that nobody can get access to it except them. Problem is, they can charge whatever they want. Now they made it very painful for you to be able to move. Okay, so WordPress is really nice this way because basically it's a bunch of files, right, that make up the website, right, in terms of the what you're seeing. Okay, that get dropped in and processed, okay? And then you have a database, right? So those two things can easily be packaged and moved to another website host when you guys are ready, right? Very nice, very easy, and there's a ton of programmers that do PHP stuff. So most of WordPress is very, very easy to manage. Yeah, I would still recommend somebody with a little bit of expertise to go do this because things do break time and, you know, from time to time. Just because you do have programmers writing things and they don't know about your foundational stuff. You may have an editor that's on top of things or a theme that changes how things are working or cache plugins that modify code and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, still very, very easy, but it's very easy to find somebody to fix problems and be able to migrate the stuff over. Fourth reason, security. And I get this all the time as an example of what, you know, why not to use WordPress. And I'm like, guys, here's the deal. We unfortunately, we have come into engagements where we have to pay a programmer who is Microsoft certified platinum programmer $250 an hour to go ahead and fix changes that were so simple to deploy. But the reason why is because so few people were actually able to write to it. Now, I think it was Home Depot. It might have been Home Depot or Lowe's, I don't remember. And this is a financial, their lead financial guy. He's like, you know, it's not a matter of if we're going to get hacked. It's a matter of when we're going to get hacked. And then also how fast we can find the problems. Okay, here's the deal. If you have 1,000 people that know how to write and fix your stuff, right, as opposed to 100,000 people that know how to write and fix the stuff, and you guys are all working off the same foundation, okay, and that foundation, those holes are found much quicker when you have a large scale application, right, where people are using this thing all the time. They discover holes a lot faster, right? This kind of theme or idea around crowdsourcing, right? So you're able to spot those problems and go in and fix them quick, and then it's rolled out to everyone, okay? So to be quite frank with you, a lot of the CMS, especially the specific open source CMSs or content management systems, WordPress has so many programmers doing this, and even companies like GoDaddy, and you know, they've already built kind of technologies around this so that if there's a problem that's identified, they can roll it out to a whole bunch of their other sites and resolve that problem, especially on the security level. So there's 4 really good reasons why you may want to consider doing that. But before we get started then, even more so, the assumption here is, okay, so we've decided to migrate our website over to WordPress, okay? So first assumption is that we've actually done that, right? All the files are there, all the images are there, it's on that development server, it looks great, it's beautiful, we enjoy it, the functionality is there because we've done our competitive analysis, we know exactly, you know, we've optimized the experience based on what we know about the guests on our old site, looking at Google Analytics and how they come in the door. We also know the trends in the business so that we kind of position those. We have great call to actions and great videos. So we are just so psyched to launch this sucker. But before we do that, want to know, again, kind of things that we've just mentioned, right? You're building those into that new site. So the user experience freaking rocks, okay? Also, as kind of a side note, history matters a lot. If you have been ranking for a keyword for a specific URL for a long time, that matters a lot. We have been up against sites that literally have had old websites. They're good pages, but they're horrible in design and execution in terms of following the current rules. But Google is okay with that. If the content was there 10 years ago and it's still really good content and it ranked back then, it can actually break a whole bunch of the rules that are currently playing right now. So we're talking like duplicate H1 header tags and all that, H1 header tags and all that fun stuff, right? So Google's history with that web page and that site for that rankings term matters a lot. So you guys have to know that, okay, big time. We're going to walk through a couple of those things right now. Also, I talk about keywords. You have to know which ones are good. Like, you may craft the words. You may use a couple tools that you might be using. Google's estimator tool, might be using the keyword planner. You might be using a purchased or licensed SaaS application to be able to help you identify keywords. I'm going to let you in a little secret, folks. All those tools are just estimates until you get out into the real world. Okay, and you can say, well, the estimates are based on real world traffic and terms. Yes, they are, but they're not your product or your service in your marketplace as of yet, because until your name shows up in that suite of potential options, it can't be tabulated as effectively as an actual test could. Okay, so our suggestion, we do this, it's called Keyword Insight. We build out every possible keyword somebody might use to type to find in your stuff, okay? Your product, your service, your marketplace, your competitors, all that stuff. Reviews, any term that you can possibly imagine that would connect with that, okay? So once you get that massive list and you're thinking, all the derivatives and everything, it's like, yeah, absolutely, you have to. And do it in phrase match when you do the test. So that might be 100,000, that might be 1 million terms, yep. Yep, on average for our local clients, that list is about 72,000 keywords that we'll be testing live in that specific area. At a national level, it could be, it's usually several million. And at an international level, our largest keyword test this to date is 64 million key terms for a global rent-a-car company. So yes, you test. And that way, you know your products, your service, your marketplace, which specific keywords have the greatest potential of driving traffic. I'll say use the word potential of driving traffic. Because after that test is done, there are words in there when you sort that list by impressions that you're going to say, yeah, that one's too broad. No, not that one. Yes, this one. Yes, this one. Yes, this one. No, this one. No, this one. We can't compete on this one. This one's a marginal term. So you can prioritize those how you want. But at the end of the day, you're actually getting a list of real keywords that are appropriate potentially for you to drive traffic, okay? And you're going to then put a strategy in place to do that. So that's what we call keyword insight. Very, very, very important. And just to let you know, I mean, there's about a 300% difference in what Google's telling you in their estimates compared to what is actually the proper key terms that you should be going after. Because you might be surprised, Google's job is to make Google money. That's Google's job. And they'll give you just enough tools to hang yourself if you let them, okay? So if you need help in figuring out how that works or you need more information, let me know, okay? So the steps of doing this migration. So again, we've got that site just beautiful. We got things the way we want it. Excellent, excellent. We are now ready to make sure we are building out the right key terms. So the first thing I'm going to recommend to you, and I don't care if you're a big business or not, this is we're assuming we migrated into a WordPress website. So the first thing, everyone knows it, is an SEO. Yes, download Yoast. It is, in fact, actually, let's pull it up here. We'll get to that in just a minute. screen. I'm going to do 1. Sure. That is for later. We won't go into that just yet. Okay. So this is Yoast. Yoast for everyone. Now, Yoast has free tools, and you guys can see this now, I believe. Yeah. So Yoast has free tools, and in many cases, Yoast, just the free version is good enough. But you can see we run about 50% of our websites on the premium. You guys may have a different, you guys might always do it, you might never do it, I don't know, but we're about 50% on it. And it depends on what we need to do. If we need to amp it up, depending on how competitive the marketplace is, but you may decide to do the paid version, okay? It's up to you on that. But again, Yoast is a very, very, very good tool to use, and it helps you optimize those pages in real time. And for people that are just learning, it gives a nice little reds, oranges, and greens. So yeah, red, orange. It's really supposed to be yellow probably, but it looks more like that orange right there. In my opinion, it's orange. Like this is yellow. Let's see. Actually, there's no yellow on this page. I suppose that might be a little more yellow, or this might be yellow. But it orangey yellow, right? So you can find it the red, yellow, green concept. It tells you what that is. So with some basic understanding of what SEO is, you're going to be just great. The other thing I want to suggest, or what I suggest after that, so again, Yoast, step 1, make sure you kind of get that global look on the website, things like that. Find out if there's any problems. And then also, and I'm going to make this number 2, a lot of our businesses are local. We have a local presence, right? You know, we have specific store locations or cities that we're zooming in on, right? We don't want to have people too far away. The Yoast Local tool is very, very, very helpful. I'm going to bring this over so you can see it. So Yoast Local, and again, you can find it under our products and things like that. But Yoast Local is very, very good at, especially if you have multiple businesses, to submit what we call NAPs, right? Name, address, phone number listing information. So it creates a taxonomy for it and submits it to schema.org. So it creates the stuff that's already there to help Google kind of follow the pattern a little bit, right? So very, very, very helpful. It does it automatically for you just by filling in the stuff. So, you know, maps and things like that, it brings in. But it's really very helpful. We had a client that basically had, gosh, I think they had 20, they're now almost 50, but they had like 20 key cities, 22 key cities in the east part of the United States, covering about 3 different states. And so they had basically like city-their-website.com. And this worked previously with SEO, and then a couple years ago, they started to notice their rankings like tank, or starting to tank. And this is what we didn't know them yet. They came to us with that problem. We said, well, we've got to fix this so that basically it's what it should be, right? whatever.com/locations, and then you have your cities underneath that, so each location has its own page. And to be quite frank with you, the Yoast Local is what allowed us to do that. And they're ranking literally for every local term. There's 2 specific terms they want in every one of those cities, and they're ranking for every single one of them, #1 position. So really, really good stuff there. Make sure that you're doing that. Very easy to implement. You don't need a programming, you know, specialization or anything of that nature. Very easy to walk through. Okay. Number 3. I got 7 of these, so I got to make sure I plan properly. Page by page. Okay, so this is where it starts to get a little labor intensive. Okay. I might as well write the rest of it. So you're talking like title tags, H1s. What else are we talking about? We're talking about images. So this is, you need to go page by page and making sure that the previous stuff you had there is integrated into the new stuff, the new site. All right, so links, all the things that matter for SEO. Okay, and when you do this, when you migrated this stuff over, it depends on what content management system you had before, whether it was like Joomla or pick a different one. But there, if you do a search for that, the migration from whatever to WordPress, there might be plugins and tools to help you do that. Some of them are better than others. some not so much so. Okay, in some cases, like we just had a website that's converting over from .NET Nuke to WordPress. It was easier. They had 140 pages, and it was easier just to migrate them manually. Like when the tool kept crapping out, it served no benefit. Okay, so and those pages had to be redesigned anyway, so we got the look we were looking for. So either way, you need to go through page by page, and the Yoast tool is going to help you with that on the pages stuff. So you're going to be able to see if it scores well. Okay, and then you can actually go ahead and start taking and doing something with it, because you want to make sure it's at least performing at the level it was performing before. Just makes sense, right? So we have what we call rankings reports, because we have specific things that we want to rank for a client. So like in this case here, this is a rankings report. The technology that we use is called WebCEO. But basically you put in the keywords you want to go after, and it goes ahead and spits out the rankings. And these are supposed to be unbiased, and you can actually do them by city. So you see like this one is Tallahassee, this client is Tallahassee. Because sometimes people put Tallahassee, sometimes they won't, right? So like in this case here, for this article, and nice thing is it links the actual article, so you actually see that. But the pH of saliva and urine, if somebody types that stuff in, there's 7.3 million search pages that Google's telling us are appropriate for that specific search query in Tallahassee. And the Good Doctor is doing #1 on it, right, with this specific blog post. So we want to make sure, if we're going after, we want to make sure for the specific terms that we've identified in our keyword research that are there, we want to make sure that we are looking at these pages and making sure we do that. And if we don't, we are screwed, okay? Because again, this is what the client's actually in many cases seeing from our standpoint every single week or month when we do our reporting, okay? You can see just some very, this is a chiropractor, so for car accidents and things like that, the specific treatments he has, the specific methodology, the different doctors' names, all that stuff. You want to make sure you've captured that stuff, right? And you're able to say, okay, these are pages I'm going to be very deliberate and careful with, because these are the ones we have identified are important, okay? So that's that. Fourth thing is going to be all pages ranked in the top 30. Okay, so all top 30 pages. Okay, so this is something we put in directly. Okay, so we put these specific key terms in, and then it spits the stuff out. Well, do we have this? I think I meant to. Hello, where's my mouse? There it is. There's mousy. Okay, so let's do. I gotta make sure I pull this up for you so you can see it. And if not, I have a copy of it too, so that's okay too. Alrighty. Actually, I could probably just dump it in anyway. So let me pull this over so you can see it. We use a tool called Spyfu, and again, the Good Doctor in this case here, he will continue to see ranking slide because his site speed is terrible, which is why we're doing what we're doing. What the output of this is, you can actually export the keywords that he's actually ranking for. So if you go down here, I want to know every possible keyword that he is ranking for. I want to make sure that I review those the same way I was reviewing these right here. Okay, so that report actually looks like this. Okay, so when you export it out, and I want to see these things in different ways. In terms of the rank, I can actually look at that. I can actually look at the search volume. And again, this is not his specific search volume. This is what that query results in for that specific area. So I want to go ahead and make sure that we are targeting certain keywords and that we have the stuff built in what it needs to be by looking at these two things, rank and the search volume. Some of this stuff with search volume you want to be careful with, again, because Google, this data is typically coming, not piped directly in from Google, but probably pretty close. So you take it with a grain of salt. But you do want to make sure. So anything he ranks for in the top 30, and then as you can see, there's a lot. There's 166 URLs here, or at least 166 different keyword rankings for these specific pages. I want to make sure. Again, this is where you gotta look at this stuff. Look at this. So he's got multiple keywords going on, right? That's why this report is so helpful for the exact same page. Here's some more pages. So I may actually sort. Once identified, that's why I put them in green. Once I identified this, I can sort differently or filter out by specific page, and I can see which specific keywords need to be where they need to be in those pages. And this is where probably that premium version of Yoast is going to help out, because I can have multiple derivatives of those keywords. So very, very important tool, because as we know, even for things that are ranked in like top 30, guys, I'm going to tell you this. Search is personalized so much today, which is why you do the test on the front end, because you don't know exactly all those things that are coming into play. These matter. Even rankings beyond that. Like, I'm sure even 30s and 40s matter. Some of these are legacy terms, and they're all connected. So I can't assume that just because it ranks 30 and it's been there for a while, that it's only marginally important. Going past the page 3 into page 4 in terms of organic rankings, probably not incredibly too important, but I want to make sure that each and every one of these has a home on the website, because the structure is going to change here actually with this new website. That's the assumption, right? So, as it should be, look at the URL string. If this is the keyword, all of this other stuff, blogs, top news blog, article ID 107, all that's garbage. Doesn't mean anything. So if I can put the .com / and then the title of the page, I am much better off right out of the gate for that stuff. Very, very, very important. So that does lead us into making sure, and you can see actually when I go up to the top here, by the way, I have redirect. So this file, I'm going to make sure all these are covered, okay? It leads us to that number 5 thing, which is all URLs. All URLs. How many? All. All have a home in the new website. So I want to make sure, because I've seen these all through here now, I know exactly which keywords are ranking in the top 30. I can be confident that I've covered everything, and I'm making sure I have redirects from the old page to the new page that we can do that. So just to let you know how that's typically done, there's many tools in WordPress that allow you to do that. We use 301 redirect. It's a plugin in there. And they also have a bulk version, so Simple 301 bulk, and you can just basically kind of massage this specific document into an upload, basically the old URL and the new URL, and it just basically goes ahead and redirects guests with a 301, telling Google it's the proper place, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, number 6. Confirmed. All right, so a lot of these plugins, if you paid them, like in this case here with Yoast, it's going to specifically be to a URL. If you're developing on a development site, you're going to, that's not going to connect just right yet, because you have your dev URL, right? But that's not the official client URL. So you are going to want to, let me shut this off so you can see me a little bit more. Stop sharing. Okay, so you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that once you set the site live, so I guess that's the caveat, once you've gone live, go ahead and make sure, go ahead and update, check, verify that Yoast Local is up and going properly. Very, very important. And it's connected properly to Yoast system, so that once you log in, you're going to see active URLs in terms of what specific product it is. So make sure that's working well. Okay. Number 7. And again, this is after live again. Okay. The last and final step is to submit the sitemaps. So generate and submit sitemaps, okay? Those are your steps. So how you do that is Google Search Console. You use your URL. Typically, you use the same one you use for analytics and all that fun stuff because they're going to try to connect those accounts. But Google Search Console, go ahead and you can actually generate. You can actually see this. You can actually submit the sitemaps in there. But Yoast generates the sitemaps for you. Does a fantastic job, even though it doesn't necessarily appear exactly how maybe you have thought it would be. Yoast does a very good job of it, even though it's structured maybe a little differently than some of us traditionally would do sitemaps. Still works very, very well. So those are the seven steps. If I missed anything, if you guys think I need to interject a piece in there, by all means, feel free to go ahead and submit a comment in there. Love to make things better for everyone. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Chris Bernard, and this has been the 11 a.m. Monday morning marketing webcast. Have a great week, you guys. Hope that helps.